Thank you for the previous presenter. Um, my name is Nicholas Contra Luciano, and I will be representing George Mason University. Today, I will be presenting my final findings on the percentage of population unable to afford a healthy diet, which is a key indicator under SDG 2, zero hunger. So I want to go through my past presentations first, brief overview. So SDG 1.2.1, it measures the proportion of people living below the national poverty line. Countries show large differences in poverty levels, with some regions improving steadily while others remain high due to conflict, inflation, things like that. So poverty ranges, they usually range from below 10% to above 40%. So there's a lot of inequality between countries and regions. Middle income countries, they usually fall between 15 to 30%. Um, there is persistent poverty levels, although they are moderate. The high poverty countries usually see 40 to 55%. They're usually low income regions that are bound with conflict. So it's very unfortunate. So countries with strong economic growth, they show 10 to 20 percentage point reductions over the last decade. So this is some pretty good progress. So for my second presentation, what I did was I did SDG 4.6.1. That's what I've primarily focused on. And it tracks literacy rates across age groups and sexes. The data set covers 24 years, showing global improvement, narrowing gender gaps, and major differences between regions. And the global literacy reached 87.74 in 2024, which shows steady improvement across all 24 years. Male literacy is 90.91%, while female literacy is 84.59%. This is data from 2024, and that suggests the gender gap. There is only a gender gap of 6.32 percentage points. Now, the literacy rates across countries range from 35.63% to 99.68%. So this shows some pretty bad global inequality. Countries like Mongolia, Georgia, Sri Lanka, and Hawaii show consistent upward trends across all years, demonstrating long-term educational progress. So these are my past presentations. Now let's move on to the main ones, which I will specify now. Um, okay. So now we are on to the trend of South American population unable to afford a healthy diet. Initially, I wanted to do the whole data set, but it was way too damn much to fit on a damn dashboard. So I needed to cut it down. So this chart shows a trend from 2017 to 2025. The global average share of people unable to afford a healthy diet. It decreased from 36% in 2017 to around 25% in 2025 in South America. And this downward trend, uh, I made sure to label the axes and stuff like that. I didn't put you could click on the point in Tableau, but like it doesn't appear here for some damn reason. Um, and this comes from World Bank data. It's from the FAOCA 7005 indicator. So this is pretty credible, and you can publicly verify it if you want to. So this improvement, it's just progress in agricultural output, food distribution, and economic stability across several regions. So now, to slide 4. So this is the South American population able to afford a healthy diet by country. So as you see, this visualization compares South American countries. The highest values include Chile, Colombia, and Peru, all sitting above 30%, which is not very good. The lowest values include um, Bolivia and Guyana. Um, and these differences, they kind of highlight how food prices, income levels, and supply chain reliability vary sharply across regions. Make sure to fully label the chart, making these disparities very clear. So yeah. So as for um here's my regional map. This pretty much reflects the data of the bar chart that I previously showed you. This map shows regional distribution of diet affordability changes. It shows the regional distribution of diet affordability challenges. So in 2025, that's not shown here. I will actually show in the next slide. 25.21% of South America's population was unable to afford a healthy diet. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Where is Argentina and where is Venezuela? There is no data set for them. I tried to find a data set, tried to fit some data in, but it just wouldn't work. It just didn't stand when I compared it to the other when I compared it to the other like entries in this data set. It just didn't make sense considering the positions Argentina and Venezuela were at for years prior to this. Literally, I could find no data that is realistic or that stands like reasonable with the rest of the data. So yeah, that's why I didn't include Argentina or Venezuela. They're just too oddballs that I couldn't like reasonably put on here without like an extremely long explanation. So yeah. So I think the main reason why I use the map is because it provides geographical clarity, shows clusters of high-risk countries, and it helps identify where interventions are most needed, which I will show you in the next page. So are some KPIs, key performance indicators. So I already stated before, 25.2 per 1% is the percentage of South American population unable to afford a healthy diet in 2025. Now, the highest country in 2025 is Chile. Uh, 36.8% of their population cannot afford a healthy diet, which is very unfortunate. Um, and as for this, on the right, Guyana, it shows the strongest improvement in South America, decreasing from a population unable to afford a healthy diet of 78.2%, and it had a negative 68.9% weight reduction. Yeah. Uh, so it went from 78.2% in 2017 to 9.3% in 2025. It's absolutely phenomenal how much progress they've made. So let's talk some key findings real quick. So the share of people unable to afford a healthy diet has decreased over time. From 2017 to 2025, the global average dropped, not the global average, the South American average dropped from 36 to 25%, which shows steady improvement in diet affordability. Guyana was the highest percentage in our data, unable to afford a healthy diet. So Guyana reaches 78.20%, 2% technically, and it's the highest among any of the listed countries from South America here. Chile is the highest country in 2025. Chile has a 36.8% of its population unable to afford a healthy diet, the highest in the region, according to my dashboard. So Guyana shows the strongest improvement, actually. So Guyana reduced its rate from 78.2% in 2017 to 9.3% in 2025, a negative 16.90 percentage point reduction, the largest improvement in South America by a long margin. Now, several countries also remain at high risk, yet Peru. These are actually varying data. These are from previous years. However, these countries have also have a long string of having high percentage rates of, their population not being able to eat well. So you have Peru, Colombia, and Chile. And this shows kind of persistent difficulty in diet affordability. Now, I would love to show you these stats individually, but like it just wouldn't fit. It just wouldn't fit on the slide. I'd have to consistently change from 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019 to 2020. I will share my dashboard, of course, from Tableau, but that'll be the really only way to check. So what are some recommendations I can make for improvement? So you could expand the food affordability programs in high-risk countries like Guyana, Chile, Peru, and Colombia. They need targeted subsidies, nutrition assistance, and food price stabilization. Now, why am I targeting Guyana here? The main reason why I'm targeting Guyana is because it is pretty much just a colony. That's what it is. And colonies, they cannot be sustained all the time. So they need some help. So also you need to strengthen agricultural production supply chains. So you have to improve local farming, transport, and food storage. This could reduce food costs and increase diet affordability. Now, you could also increase social protection for vulnerable households. You could have cash transfers, food vouchers, school meal programs directly to reduce the percentage of people unable to afford healthy diets. You could also monitor food inflation and regulate essential food prices. Countries with sharp increases consistently, like Chile, should implement price monitoring systems and anti-inflation policies. And you also need to integrate zero hunger strategies with poverty reduction. Food affordability is tied to income. So, combining job creation, income support, and nutrition programs will always have uh strongest impact. So what are the limitations? So the limitations are that um, there is incomplete or missing data for certain countries, and in years limits the accuracy of a long-term trend analysis. So there are also differences in data collection methods across regions, which make direct comparisons less precise. And there's also a lack of demographic breakdowns, at least in this data set specifically. There is no age, gender, income, rural, or urban, and this kind of prevents deeper insight into which groups are most affected. Now, the indicators themselves do not actually capture all the dimensions of the issue, uh, like poverty, literacy, and hunger. This is also this is generalizing. This is about my past presentations as well. So results may not like reflect the full reality. Like factors, they're just not included in this data set. External factors such as inflation, policy changes, economic shocks, or supply chain disruptions, they are not really measured in these data sets. Um, they may influence the trends, but they are just not there. So there are also visualization constraints that arise when working with larger data sets. I had a big issue with this. My last two data set and my last two dashboards, especially my first semester here at ISS, I had a big problem with that. I chose like huge data sets. I wanted to do something big and grand, but it ended up being something clunky and ugly on Tableau. So yeah, so making some of these charts, they're kind of dense or difficult to interpret, and I made this mistake once again. So, and then here are my sources. I use the UN stats. I thought it was very helpful for my first two presentations. My last presentation, I used World Bank Data 360. So that was all. Um, so my name is Nicholas Controversiano. I was representing George Mason University. And if you'd like to connect my contact information, you can find it on the intern directory. And thank you for your time and attention. Now I return the floor to the diplomatic office.